get information from the course guide. It is what it is theory. Many of you should be familiar with Big's 3 levels. We often get stuck on level 2. We think if we create the right content and, we're strict with our classroom management, everything will go smoothly. But we should be aiming for what students do. And we just have to accept the fact of their lives. Modern life is modern life. We have smartphones, the internet, and they play a role in everyone's lives, not just the students. The students come from traditional backgrounds where there is a focus on tests. We all live in the instant gratification culture. We don't like to wait for a web page to load. We don't like to wait for customer service to answer our phone calls. We want results straight away. And I have to remember that many of them are new to the country. They've just arrived, often days or a week or two. So they're going through a bit of culture shock. They're trying to organise their lives. And I've taken this into account. So how have I taken this into account? Well, I've flipped in the classroom. And we all know that about flipping the classroom. The students should be watching the lectures and learning, and then we do the exercises in class. But I've accepted the fact that a lot of them don't. They have the option to, but a lot of them don't. So I've taken that first stage into the classroom and then moved on to them doing the activities after that. Phones, that as a fellow teacher said to me recently, that ship has sailed. We can pull the student out of the class that's constantly on their phone. We can try and reason with them, but the next day they're just back on their phones. So I'm just very practical about it. If I'm talking directly at you, please don't use your phones. If you really have to take the phone call, and 99% of the phone calls aren't urgent, then quietly excuse yourself and take the phone call and come back into class as quickly as you can. Now, I've also taken advantage of the fact that they are focused on tests and used frequent assessments and particularly assessments as learning. So individual feedback about their assessments. There are 3 stages of that: assessment as learning, assessment for learning, and assessment of learning. So it's a formative assessment. And fast feedback, instant gratification. I try and get every test marked as quickly as possible, and hopefully the next day I'm giving them feedback. We've heard of learning styles. 20% of the students that I teach are surface learners. They're doing the bare minimum. The good students, 10%, are doing more than what's required, but the vast majority, and I hope that you agree with me, are probably strategic learners. I was a strategic learner at university. I did what I had to, and then I went deep when I had to, but I pretty much did the bare minimum most of the time. I've tried to overcome that by relating everything that we do in the classroom, whether it's to an assessment. This will help you with the test, or this will help you at university or the workplace, or generally in Australian and Western culture. And this all ties in with the PAH continuum: Pedagogy, Andragogy, and Heutagogy. So the majority of the time we are explicitly instructing them about things, what they need to know: academic word list, admin matters, essay report structure, and Andragogy, where they have a little bit more self-direction and fleeting moments of Heutagogy. The Genius of Mr Miyagi, everyone knows the movie. I remember seeing the movie and thinking, here's a smart guy. He's teaching Daniel's son how to defend himself against the bullies, learning karate, but he's also getting his fleet of vintage cars waxed and his fence painted at the same time. So it's basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone, or as my father, Bob the Builder, says, never waste a trip. If you're going out to the truck to get a tool, take some rubbish with you. And so I've employed all of these sort of things with bland admin activities. If I want them to become familiar with the rubric, you know, instead of just giving them a copy that they won't study, a little quiz. Name one thing you need to do in referencing to get a high distinction, or what will get you an unsatisfactory in grammar and vocabulary. So I'm getting them skim and scan the rubric. I do it with the CQU University guides. I've got a quiz that takes them to the website and gets them familiar with all the pages. How do I reference YouTube videos? How do I reference a conference presentation, a book with 4 authors, and so forth. And the idea is that they're going to forget the quiz, but hopefully they'll remember, the website is online. Usually I just tell them, Google CQU referencing guide, and don't choose the PDFs, choose the link to the page. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So, at your table, do you have any Mr Miyagi moments where you kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Please discuss.